here with the legendary Brett King, best-selling author. Yeah, legendary best-selling author, co-founder of Moven. And so, Brett King, it's a pleasure to have you here. And we are straight here from FF17 and having some perceptions from the leaders of the industry. Sure. And we'd like to talk a little bit with you about what you're thinking about fintech in emerging markets, especially Brazil. I know that you've been in Brazil for a couple of times last year.
So I tell you what I did in Brazil a few years ago. I've got my pilot's license. So I came to Sao Paulo. I had a speaking gig in Sao Paulo, and then I hired a plane and I flew down to Ubatuba.
Oh, yeah.
And landed on the beach there, and I didn't have any swimmers with me, so I just bought a t-shirt and some shorts at the local thing and went for a swim in the ocean. It was wonderful. It's very beautiful down there. So yeah, I'm very big on Brazil as a fintech location. There's a really strong, growing fintech community there.
Yeah.
And the one thing I've always admired about Brazil is the design sensitivity.
Yeah.
Brazil has a great creative culture that I think is phenomenal, and it has the potential to beat out the rest of the world.
And what are your views on financial inclusion, on all the issues that can be tackled with fintech technologies all over Latin America? I don't know if you're familiar with
Sure.
what's going on in Mexico City and also in São Paulo, places like that, and also India.
Look, it's very, very simple. We have seen the fastest reversal of financial exclusion, or the fastest move to financial inclusion ever in history, because of the mobile phone. This could never have been done with bank branches, with traditional bank products, but it's been done with the mobile phone. Just to illustrate, I'm sure the data is similar in LATAM, but in Africa, Standard Bank did a study, and they worked out that for 70% of the unbanked in Africa, they would have to pay more than their entire salary to physically get to a bank branch. Now, if you think about much of the excluded financially in LATAM, probably it's the same thing. Probably the cost of transporting themselves to a bank to open a bank account is already too much money, right? So, but if you can give them something that they can get on their phone through a local grocery store, or just downloading an app on the phone, this is obviously a superior distribution mechanism.
Sure.
So the only way we're going to see real financial inclusion in Latin America and in China, India, Indonesia, and Africa is going to be through the mobile.
Nice. And in Brazil, we have a huge mobile penetration, so I think that we got all the ingredients to
Brazilians love their mobiles, dude.
Sure. I'm Brazilian.
And social media as well, you know?
Yeah.
Social media, the utilization of social media is highest in the world in Brazil, actually, globally.
Nice. And one last thing, can you tell a little bit more about your latest book and what it's about, and explain to the Brazilian audience?
In June, I launched Augmented, Life in the Smart Lane. That's my current book. This is a book on the future. It's not a banking book. It's a book about how technology is going to change the way we live over the next 20 years or so. And it was more I wanted to be true futurist with this one. Bank 4.0 is obviously the follow-up to Bank 3 and Bank 2.0, my bestsellers. But it's a completely new book. And I've looked at, really broken down the core themes that are going to be changing banking forever. And one of those, I start the book with a discussion of going back to first principles from a design perspective. And the fact that if you were starting today from scratch, designing the banking system, based on the technology we have today, you would never come up with branches and plastic cards and application forms that you sign with a signature. You just wouldn't use those if you were to design it from scratch today. So then the question is, why are we still using them? And this is where we see the divergence between fintech and incumbents, where fintechs are really thinking very differently about this design process.
Nice. Well, thanks for the interview, Brett.
Good to meet you guys. Good to chat.